begin.
Hello, everybody. Okay, let's check. Mics are on. I think everybody should be able to hear us here. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for inviting us to the Tasco. You've been just such a great part of the community, and it's just really great to be able to give back and be part of this with you.
Oh, thank you. You're starting out our panel with kindness. I love it. Thank you. All right, so I would like for the first thing for us to do, we're going to have quite a few viewers here, I think, today from the community. They absolutely love you guys. The community loves the developers, so it's an honor for me to be able to be here to chat with you. And I've met you guys and hung out with you just a little bit in the past when we were actually able to be out and around, people in physical reality. And so we want to start out with some introductions. So PM, can you start? Let us know what you do basically at BigBox, and then we'll let Kaden do the same.
Yeah. So I'm PM Casey. We're kind of title fluid at BigBox, but you can kind of call me an art lead or designer. And so I guess what that means is I help out with like the world and level design building, visual direction for things like gun skins, characters, UI, and then a tiny bit of lore here and there.
PM is our lore master, yes.
Tiny lore master, tiny lore master.
Oh gosh, you're going to be so sorry you said that, because now you're going to be like a million messages every day.
Okay, let's take it back.
Kaden.
I'm Kaden Nugent, also known as Bagel Bites. Some of you have probably seen me in game.
Infamous.
Infamous, yes. My role at BigBox is I'm a lead developer / designer, if you want to include that. I do a lot of assorted things at the company, but I do mostly game design stuff. So I make sure the paddles rub well when you're doing those defibs and all of those kinds of things too.
That's excellent. Well, one thing that I like to start out with in VR panels, especially with developers, because the players really like to know a little bit about you. It's not just about what you do there. I mean, because quite honestly, they could figure that out or look at your bios or whatever, but they like to know a little bit about your background. So each of you tell us, please, what your first exposure was to VR, and then how you actually became involved with game development. So was that at the same time, or I'm assuming that you became involved sooner and then were exposed later, or maybe you knew about VR a long time ago? Let us know.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start that one.
Sure.
So for me, I actually hadn't really tried VR until I came to BigBox, which I know a lot of people are like, boo, I haven't been there since the beginning, but it was a different time 4 years ago when I first joined, and now VR is really growing and it's very exciting with the mobile VR, and lots of people are really picking it up. So my first experience was just joining BigBox and playing the game for the first time. Was just really eye-opening experience of what you can do in VR that you can't do normally, because in Pop 1, climbing is so important, and I got that first experience of climbing, and it's just such an interesting experience that you can't get in a pancake game, a flat screen game. So yeah.
Yeah, and for me, I guess my experience with like game development and VR kind of wraps in together. So gaming has always been like a super big part of my life. And so when it came to like choosing a career, it was like a very clear decision to like go into it. And Kaden and I actually went to school together, a college called DigiPen here in Washington. And my senior year of college, I was playing Overwatch, I think. I get this email out of the blue, and it's Cha Chin, and he's next day I was in the office doing an interview. The next week I was working on Smashbox, and so that interview that I had was actually my first experience with VR. I was in the headset playing an early prototype of Smashbox. Everything was still like very white box, gray box, but yeah, I mean, from there, worked on Smashbox, shipped that, and now onto Population 1. So,
wow, that's great. Now, I think, Kaden, you also did work on Smashbox though before Pop 1, right?
No, I actually didn't. So they had just shipped Smashbox, and they were hiring more people to start their next project, and I was brought in on that wave. So it wasn't quite Population 1 yet until I got here.
Wow. Well, I didn't realize that. I was thinking you actually worked on that. One funny quick story. I was doing a panel earlier today, and you guys know, you two know, I don't have any experience with flat games. Like, I know nothing about flat games at all. And so one of the panelists kept talking about Smash. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's familiar with Smashbox Arena and all this, but
right.
Yeah, he wasn't talking about
the other Smash.
Right.
The flatter one.
Yeah, the flat. He was talking about the flat one. And I'm just like, I was totally disappointed. So, okay. So, since you both came in, obviously, and have been here from the beginning for Population 1, you know how that world came to be created. And This is a big thing that the players have asked about and would like to know. And so I promised them I would ask you. I would like for you both to share from your own perspectives. Hopefully those perspectives agree. But how did the world come to be created? And, tell us kind of what that was like whenever that was happening.
Yeah, so I can start, and Kaden, feel free to jump in and interrupt me at any time because you do it a lot anyway. Smashbox was this kind of smaller scale game, and we wanted to do something bigger in VR. And so I think that's kind of where Population 1 started. I remember having a lot of conversations early on with like Gabe and Chachin about like wanting to create this vast open world, and we talked a lot about like Arma 2 and DayZ at the time. And so while we were prototyping these things, PUBG started to get, gain a lot of traction. And that really bolstered our interest in kind of adding more structure to this already like open world prototype that we had. And that's, with that premise, that's where kind of the battle royale element came into play. And from there, we just kind of gave it the old, big box iteration pass, and very quickly tried to figure out what stuck, what didn't, and just built it out from there.
Yeah, I don't really have that much more to add on to that. A lot of people don't realize though that like the flying came later, all that stuff. Like a lot of those things weren't even up front. Like the main thing we wanted to make was a game that you could play with your friends, and that's like always been our goal since the beginning. And it just kind of iterated to where we are now. So.
Yeah, I think Chichin and Gabe mentioned that in the interview I did with them. Like they really just wanted to have an experience that people could get in and enjoy together, with others. And so Smashbox came out, I believe, in 2016, right? 2016. So when did you two start working on Pop One?
Yeah, so I think it was like, I want to say like May of 2017 is when we really started prototyping. I hope my timeline isn't off. And then Kaden, you joined when we really kind of solidified it as the Battle Royale experience. And I think, back then we only had climbing, I think. And it's funny thinking back to and there was a point in time when we didn't even have climbing. And I remember the first time that we added climbing, like walking out of the office that day and just like looking around at like fences and like giant street lights. It's like, oh, you can do literally anything now. You can climb anything.
You can climb anywhere. And so that's
climb anything, climb anywhere.
That's when we started that motto. Actually, that's just the first part. We were like, "What else can we add to this?"
That's it. Actually, yeah.
That's really great, and it's a good little logo or motto there. It's a good motto for it because it is true, and it's funny whenever you have that experience. Did you have the experience, PM, where you had already obviously been using VR for a little while at that point because you would have had to been testing it with the game, but did you kind of have that sensation, like that little tiny part of your brain that made you think, wow, like I'd really like to do this, even though you knew you shouldn't?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think like, putting on a headset for the first time, there's a huge like, wow factor. It's like, it's so crazy. And like, I think every time we added one of those core mechanics to Pop One, I had that moment. Like, adding the climbing, walking outside being like, the world has changed. What is going on? Adding flying, it was like, oh, what am I can now climb and then go somewhere? And then the building, right? And that's like, you can build a structure that you can then climb and then fly off of. The opportunities are endless. What's going on?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest things about VR is that we absolutely have the opportunity to do things in virtual reality that we could never do in physical reality ever.
Right.
And so, and that's true from an accessibility point perspective as well. There are some things that some people even you and I could do that they will never be able to do. I've talked with a lot of people in wheelchairs that use VR that say, it makes them feel like they actually are able to walk and run and do these things. The same as you and I feel like we can fly when we do that.
Right.
So you guys are doing an amazing thing by providing these games and those opportunities. So
yeah, and we want to keep creating more fantasy fulfillment items that, like for instance, for season 1, we added the sword, right? Everybody kind of wants to use a sword in VR, and that was kind of a fantasy fulfillment thing for us too. And so hopefully we can keep doing that kind of thing in the future.
Oh yeah, that's great. Melee weapons. Now that's my thing, guys. I mean, I like the guns and shooting. That's great. But when you just get hands on there and you're really doing it, because in VR you feel like you are, it's so funny. It's just an interesting sensation, just like the climbing. You feel like you really are doing that.
Right. There's something just about holding a katana. It's like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, I was really pleased that you chose the katana versus, I mean, you could pick a lot of different things. And so, although actually I'd like to see an axe at some point. I'm throwing that request in there because axes are just cool. But I mean, like an axe.
Okay, I'm taking
right now.
But I think the katana is like so unique because we have a lot of different melee weapons in different games that I played, VR games, and they're all they're spectacular. But I think that was a really good choice for this game, especially as people are trying to like glide by you or something and get away, and you can. I sound like a psychopath when I say these things, but like you can slice them. So
We've all been there.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad I have friends in the world. So, all right. PM, I was wondering about the map for Population 1.
Right.
So basically, there are a lot of VR games out there, many of them fantastic VR games. But I actually think you guys have done an amazing job with not a huge map. You have so much on this what I would think is a smaller map compared to some of the other ones I've seen. And so I want to know kind of how you managed to maximize that space so well. Like, how did that come to be, and what went through your mind as you were designing that?
Yeah. So in terms of the size of the map, it's definitely like a pacing thing. And through numerous iterations, we just kind of landed on this size as being the correct size that felt right for Population 1. And so when I think back to like the original days of when we were trying to land on that and all these other like core pillars that we were trying to establish with the map, one of the things that is brought up is like this feeling of optimism and color, and this world needed to be energizing and also feel like a real place. And so we wanted it to feel like a place that when you're in it for sometimes hours on end, you don't come out of it feeling super fatigued. Like, it's always a place that you want to go back to. And so it's this idea of optimism, but then also having a lot of variety but being relatable, which kind of spurred these iconic locations around the map. So we have like the bustling like Defiant City. We have things like the cemetery, and then like turbines and a farmlands. So we're choosing all these biomes that feel very energizing and familiar, but also add a lot of variety to the game.
Yeah, you did a great job with that. I think as you were talking, I was just sitting there thinking, sometimes Bagel has played with me and he probably noticed I do like to play the game and try to achieve the goal you're trying to achieve, which is to win. But I kind of get a little distracted by the art and the actual world. And so I personally enjoy just kind of going and looking in the buildings and reading the signs and, all that kind of stuff, which, yes, can frustrate other players that you're trying to play with. But I appreciate the fact that the world has stuff in it that you want to see. You actually want to explore and see it. So thanks for that. That's great.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's really great to hear.
Yeah, Bagel hasn't played with me since then, but
never again. No, but in all seriousness, that was an important part of our thought process. There is that when you're in a certain region, we really wanted you to feel like, hey, I'm in the farmlands. I really feel like I'm in the farmlands. It's kind of like the Disneyland effect, I've heard people call it, where you're in the space area, you feel like you're really in the space area, even though it's just like one tiny part of a bigger place. So when you go into the city, you really feel like you're in the city. Like, that's really important to us. And so
yeah. You've achieved it perfectly. I think that's great. Okay, so another question was, this actually is kind of together, but how has the reaction to the game and the success of the game been among the team there? Like when you guys saw initially at the launch, and then also since then as sales have continued to go up and stuff, you know, it's done great. What has been the reaction there at Big Box?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been super positive. And I think we're just super humbled by the reception that we received. And you know, we're one of the top 6 grossing titles of the Quest 2, 10 million in revenue on the Quest store alone. And you know, the reception for season 1 has also just been like super positive across the board. So I mean, I think, you know, the thing that at Big Box we come away with is just we're just incredibly humbled. And you know, in honor of the success that we've seen, I now eat a banana every day. So
So that's excellent. I bet your doctor is just thrilled, and every time you go in, he can say, "You never have low potassium."
right. Yeah, he really wants it to be an apple, because I think that's like kind of the thing, apple a day, but he'll take banana, I'm sure.
No. Okay, Bagel, what about your thoughts on
Well,
that?
yeah, and I think that PM said everything pretty much. But one thing that's really important to us is just expanding VR as a whole, right? I mean, it's not just about our game, and our success will hopefully prove the way for, you know, many other VR titles, and, you know, encourage more users to go into VR. That at the end of the day, that is our goal. Like, yes, we want to make Population 1 great, but we want to make VR great as well. So that's
Right.
really important to us.
We want the box of VR
Yeah.
to get bigger. Would you say that, Kaden?
Yes, a very large box. The big really just isn't enough. More like
Right.
huge
Yeah.
box.
Huge box. Yeah.
I love that. I think it's fascinating you guys say that in terms of the other panels I've done today, because one of the things we were talking about, every other panel has had numerous game devs on it, not just devs from one game. And so one of the things that we chatted about was specifically the fact that, like, for example, on the fitness panel, we were talking about fitness games, and then they would talk to each other and say, "Oh, I like this about your game," or whatever, you know, going back and forth. And so I think one thing to emphasize to outsiders who, and by outsiders, I mean people who don't do VR. And so, but basically, we're trying to bring them into our ecosystem and our community. When we say the VR community, we literally mean the whole community, everybody, not just one particular game. So I think that I love that attitude of it's not just about my game, but it's about everybody working together and stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah, because if they succeed, then we succeed, and then hopefully the community grows. It's only good for us. So
yeah, that's excellent. So one thing I wanted to ask you about is how do you handle, and this might actually be an encouragement to other developers because you guys have done so well, how do you handle challenges, maybe bugs that come up or problems or anything that arise? How do you deal with those kind of issues?
Right. Well, trying to frequently update the game has been super critical to us. So, and a lot of players have been really enjoying that we try to quickly turn out bugs when we can. Like, yes, some bugs are very difficult to solve. Like, people know the physics bug took us a while to solve, but it was very difficult, right? And we are trying to keep an update cadence that is feasible for us, but also addressing those bugs as soon as possible, and just working with the community on and prioritizing what they think is the most important bugs. And hopefully we've done a pretty good job at that. And just being open to them too, and listening to their feedback, and reading Reddit. And even though we don't always respond, I know there's just so much stuff that we can't always respond. We do try our best to read everything that gets sent to us too.
Yeah, and one thing to note, because we have a lot of people watching, and this will also be on YouTube so people can watch it later, but I think you guys you have done a fantastic job about interacting with the community and responding to those posts. I realize you don't always respond to every single thing that comes through, but you're actually seeing it and addressing it. And so, you know, I think that takes a lot of time and energy, and people really do appreciate that. And so thanks to you guys for doing that, because you do a really good job with it. And I think that most of the community realizes as well that you have others, moderators and people who watch out for things like that to pass it on to you if it might happen to be missed. So
yeah, and we couldn't do it without the mods like you and active community members that report things right away and let us know what's happening. That stuff has all been really important in our success. So.
Yeah, and I've been impressed with the weekly updates. It's really amazing. And the list that you include, like when you post the update on Reddit, I think that one thing with the VR community I've discovered is it seems like the developers who have a more open relationship, who post that kind of stuff, who actually say, you know, this is what we're working on, or this is what we've done. People really like that. And they like to be involved because it's almost a sense of ownership. You know, the community likes to feel like we're a part of this. And so it's kind of funny when we have some of the players like in our Discord, when they post artwork or, you know, things like that we can add to the meme channel and stuff. And I know like Skyla yesterday was posted a funny thing, and we added that to our little meme things. But it's so funny. People just love that kind of stuff because it makes them feel like they're engaging with and being part of the actual growth of the game itself, which is a special thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping the game updated and, you know, frequently is really important to us because we want to keep making great content for everyone to enjoy. So it's exciting.
Excellent. Okay, one question that comes up in regards to updates and stuff is, and this isn't really an update, but I think you can talk a little bit about how does matchmaking work in the game. We've had some questions on that, and so are you able to explain that to players?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that that's a question a lot of people have, and we have been listening to people here as well. So definitely continue doing feedback like we were just talking about, because we do want to give the best experience we can possibly give to all players, at least the majority of players. And so it's really important for us to try and group players of, you know, similar skill together if we can. But the system is something we're always working on. It's not done. It's not finished. So please give feedback on it if you have feedback about it. But yes, again, just trying to give the best experience we can there.
What about, I'm not sure if, let's see here. I was looking at my questions. I saw a question come through. I told you I may ask questions that come through on the chat as well. I'll message you in private here in just a second, but we want to hop into a little bit about backstory for the game. And so I know we're not going to get into that into a lot of detail, but definitely there are many people who want to know some of the backstory. And so is there anything you can tell us about the Seekers and the Game Bureau, or what's your whole take on the backstory and the lore? What are you able to tell us about that?
Right. Well, I think, you know, one of the best things about life is just having a little bit of mystery out there. But, you know, I'll pull the curtain back just a smidge. So, you know, I think you can kind of tell around the map with the signage, the logos, and the branding that the Bureau kind of has control of this area. And they're really the ones that are putting on Population 1, the game. And the Seekers are a group that really don't agree with maybe some of their methods or ideologies. And so they're kind of always at ends with one another, at odds. And this is the first time that we're seeing them kind of pop out. And so there's still some things to come in season 1. So I'd keep an eye out for their meddling throughout the rest of season 1.
Anything to add to that, Kaden? He's like,
no, it is good to keep a mystery. We want the community to, you know, help us form that idea. So just we've been watching the lore videos, and we will definitely keep watching the lore videos because, you know, I kind of want to know what the lore is too. So let's figure it out.
That's great. And speaking of videos, don't you love the videos that our community creates for this game?
Absolutely. So it's a staple of numerous nights across the week for me. So
yeah, it's really good. Shout out to all the people out there who make the videos and stuff. And we do have those on Reddit and the Facebook pages and, you know, Discord and stuff. It's great to see those. I think a lot of people maybe people don't realize how much the rest of us who actually need a break from working sometimes enjoy that sort of thing. So it's really cool.
Yes, I work on Pop 1 and then I watch Pop 1.
Yeah.
You play Pop 1 and then you think about making Pop 1 better when you go to sleep, and then it never ends. Endless cycle.
Yeah, this isn't on the official approved list, Bagel, but I'm going to call you out here just a second and say, I think you and I had this discussion. I think it's okay to say this, but when you just said you work on Pop 1, then you take a break and you watch Pop 1 videos, I was talking in an earlier panel about how one of the developers was saying he felt a little guilty that he didn't really take a break. And you guys know, like, I never sleep. I mean, that's the big joke. I'm always awake. And so I really sleep like 4 hours a day. The rest of the time I'm awake. And if I'm awake, I'm working because that's what I love to do. And I told him, I said, don't feel guilty because you're not fitting into somebody else's standard of what they think you should be, quote, doing. You know, if you enjoy it and it's what you love, then go for it. But, you know, you and I had that discussion recently, Kaden, and we were just like, I was like, what do you think is too much? And you're like, I don't know. I do it all the time too.
We're probably not good examples, but
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this job, and I do spend a lot of my free time working on Population 1 as well, like, you know, all the time, Population 1, but I do it because I love it, and I do it because I want the game to be as good as it can be, and I do really love the community, and I do love playing the game as well. So to me, it's just fun. So why not keep going, right?
Yeah. Don't let anybody put you in a corner. You have your big box there. You do what you want in it.
We have many corners in Big Box, but you won't
That's
catch
right.
it.
You go pick which one you want. Okay. Speaking of Big Box, are you guys going to offer any merchandise at some point?
I mean, we would love to do merchandise, but right now our main focus is just working on the game. We're not trying to add a bunch of extra components to what we're working on, but who knows? Maybe in the future we'll have merch.
Yeah, that's a necessity in the future. I mean, we need to get Oculus involved in that or something. They seriously need like an Oculus store. They need to have, you know, a little Echo, Pop One, Beats, all this merchandise, and just put out the few best things. And
you know what? That's a great idea. I'll suggest that to them. They should include a Population 1 shirt with every quest to everyone.
Oh yeah,
that's a great idea.
I have suggested merch to them many times, but I think it's becoming more and more necessary. So we won't just keep having to say, yeah, we'll suggest it. They really need it. I mean, it's a way to really solidify the community. I think people love that stuff. PM, I think this question is for you, I believe. Why do all the characters in the game have goggles or glasses?
Well, I can tell you one thing. It's not just the puffy jacket that makes PJ so cool. But to go a little bit further on that, there is a functionality component to it. You know, flying is one of the major mechanics in our game. And so, you know, like people who are skydivers, you know, eyewear is a big thing, you know, with the, I don't know what the technical term is, but you don't want to get the winds in your eyes. I think that's maybe what you call it. Yeah. And, you know, there's the look of it. You know, I think eyewear, sunglasses, goggles, it's just cool. And there's also this other element of, you know, I'm thinking back to like the other character designs in the gaming industry, like Master Chief or like the Doom guy. The big visor that's kind of, it acts as a good like template for people to kind of impose themselves onto. So I think the eyewear just kind of acts as that canvas for a lot of different people to see themselves in these characters.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I have such greater respect for you now, even than I did before, for using terminology like the winds in their eyes.
Very technical, very technical.
Yeah, I feel like somebody needs to clip that after this, and it's just going to be, you know, become a GIF or something. I don't know, whatever you call it with the voice.
Yeah, PM's actually, he's our company poet too. He writes a little poet for us every day.
Yeah, PM is a poet, man.
Yeah. Well, I love it because I think I knew exactly what you were talking about when you said it. That's the important thing. I don't like people who say things and you have to go get a dictionary and look it up.
Right. That's one of my goals. So I'm glad that we can understand each other, Haskell.
Yeah, but I really love that answer because honestly, out of all the things I thought you were going to say in response to that, it never crossed my mind that it would be because we do fly in the game and we don't want debris getting in our eyes.
Right.
I love that. I'm sure that other players, there are going to be a lot of people being like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense. It's kind of common sense.
I'm happy to connect the dots for everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Sometimes we need the dots connected very clearly. Another good question, I think that also probably is for you, but will there ever be skins for the katana and the knife? I thought that was an interesting question, which makes sense. But then they went further and said, If so, will that adjust the shape in any way or the actual look of it if you put, imposed a skin on it?
Right. Yeah. So I don't want to reveal too much, but I'm sure some players have noticed that in the loadout, there is now a katana slot, but it only actually has the default skin in there. So there are other spots for more skins, and I guess that's really all I'm going to say about it.
Kaden's like,
Who knows? I mean, it's totally possible. You never know what we're gonna add to the game.
There is space for other skins, but are we working on it? Hard to say. Hard to say.
Now, I was just thinking of this as you were saying that. So, Kaden, if a knife, let's say the knife is this certain shape, if it did change shape, would that mean that you would have to do something on the programming side of it as far as people being stabbed and stuff?
Yeah, we'd have to make it work with the tech, but
stabbing tech, very important. Similar to rubbing tech, but stabbing.
Yeah. Rub tech, but stab tech. Right. Next thing. No. We'll see in the future. Obviously, we would love to make some skins for the knife and sword, but we're not quite sure yet what's going to happen there.
Yeah, this is going to be go down in history as the most technical talk we've ever had. A lot of technical terms.
Well, I mean, if you add tech after everything, it sounds very technical.
Right.
Like this is interview tech that you're using on us right now.
I do. I feel like more professional already. I think that's great. I'm going to start doing that. Well, any previous item shop skins return at some point? For example, Haze is the big one that has been asked about.
Right. One of the important things for our skins is that we want to make them feel exclusive. We don't really have any plans of bringing back skins, but we may have skins that come back repeatedly to the shop. But hopefully in the future we'll label those clearly if that does happen. So right now we don't have any plans of bringing Haze back, for example.
Okay. What about War? Well, the question from our players was, will War end up being a permanent game mode?
Right now we don't really have plans to make it be a permanent game mode. Obviously we do struggle with the player count. We do want to make sure that squads is always our main mode right now and it's being filled up, but you never know what the future holds, and maybe the game will become even more and more popular as time goes on and we can make other modes that are full-time modes. But keeping it in a short amount of time does make people want to go try it, and builds excitement for it. And super advanced war mode. I mean, we got to keep that going, right? For at least a little bit.
Yeah. Because you could just bring it back. Having it not as a permanent mode means you wouldn't have it in there to select as you log in every time, but you could just keep bringing it back as a special mode, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to end for this session, but it might come back again. We definitely have plans to keep bringing it back. And one thing too is that it's not a secret though that we have private rooms coming soon, or private servers, however you want to call them. And these private rooms, hopefully we will have them very soon. And maybe one of the things that we will have in there is the ability to choose what mode you want. So you can invite your friends and you can choose war mode, and you can play war mode whenever you want. It just won't be a match-made mode, right? So that's something that we can definitely do in the future. Maybe not necessarily this season, but definitely in the future.
Oh, that would be cool, because I think that would actually help for tournaments and competitive events where people could choose what kind of tournament or competitive event they want. So, because we might have some people who would want to have, we already know that some people want the solo mode as far as you going in and you have one winner, but then some people might actually want to do the team mode or the war mode where you have the different teams competing against each other. So that would be really cool. And do you foresee that we'll have various options like that in the future?
Yeah, definitely different mode options, and hopefully even more options than that. Like, the dream is that we have, options to select all different types of things in the future, like maybe what loot spawns or whatever, things like that too, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's really exciting. I know what I was going to ask you. I lost my train of thought for just a second, but I remembered what it was. So, I kind of think it's nice if you just keep bringing back war mode and adding on more superlatives. And so what's your next superlative, do you think?
I was thinking about this, and Kaden, you mentioned it might be coming back for private rooms. It could be private super advanced. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Throwing it out there.
Yeah, I
there
mean,
you go.
this kind of stuff is important. Like, these are the decisions, we really need to make sure you think about.
We'll bring it back. We'll workshop it a little bit. Don't worry.
Okay, that's good. I like it. So, I mean, not like you guys don't have enough really important things to do, but this is the kind of stuff that matters to players.
It's actually it's a very high priority for us.
Yeah.
We spend most of our time thinking about different ways to spruce up war mode. The name specifically, not even the mode itself.
We had 10 people in a room workshopping that name all week long, and we ended up with super, and everybody loved it. Obviously, it was worth our time.
I'm telling you, superlatives matter. They do. All right. What about, you kind of touched on this a little bit, Kaden, but what can you tell us about the upcoming tournament? Anything?
I can't mention anything on the tournament yet, but I will say that our private rooms will be coming before the tournament, so hopefully we can be using, or the players can be using those to practice for the tournament. So we're really excited for that stuff. But yeah, just stay tuned for more announcements on tournament stuff. I'm sure that we'll have some stuff soon.
That's great. Do we have any idea on, well, you already said what's coming next, and we have season 2, I'm assuming, because season 1 is, if there's a 1, there has to be a 2, right?
Oh, that is how that works, huh?
Usually, because you guys are big on superlatives, and if you have super advanced, ultra, whatever.
Right. What if it's super season 1, though?
Super advanced season 1.
Super advanced season 1. Now I'm worried. I'm actually thinking that might be a possibility. So from the journalist side of me, I'm thinking, oh dear, this starts making my article titles very, very long. They don't fit in the hyperlinks. But all right, what can you guys tell us about your very most ultra super absolute favorite thing about working on Population 1?
Do you want to go first, Kaden? Should I take it?
Go ahead. What do you got?
Man, I don't know. I think just from the beginning, even in the early prototype phases, Pop 1 has just been such a blast to work on and play. And as we've built it out, it's that has just skyrocketed. And up until launch too, or sorry, I guess after launch, being able to play it with our great community. We do play tests internally every day, being able to hang out with my coworkers and play the game. It's a great product. It's a great community. The team behind Pop 1 at BigBox, they're such a blast to work with too, and they just love the game and the product that they're building. For me, it's really just the entire experience that just makes Population 1 it's just a thrill to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. I definitely wouldn't love it as much as I do if I didn't have a great team to be working with and a great community to be working with. So all those things really add up. But also just during this time, during the pandemic, it's really nice to have something where you can go hang out with people. It's not quite the same, obviously, but it's in some ways it's even more fun. I can't climb and fly in real world, right? So I can do that. And it just gives me some social time during the pandemic. Not that I ever liked social time. Don't let anybody know that.
All right. So we have quite a few community members that have shown up in chat. I see them over there typing stuff, shouting out, saying hello. You guys say hello to Kaden and PM. They're reading your chat as we go. I can translate to them. And there are a few questions that have come through there. I think that we can ask some of those. What if you guys could have any type of gun? Are you able to tell me from your personal perspective what kind of gun you might like to add to the game? And this doesn't mean we are adding it, you are doing it or anything. I'm just saying, what kind of gun do you like that isn't already there?
I think that the obvious 2 types of guns that are missing that are big changes are some sort of explosive weapon, if it's a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher, and some sort of sci-fi gun, some laser gun or rail gun or something like that. Something in those categories I would like to add. Obviously, we don't have, we have room for different like types of snipers, like a semi-automatic sniper, but those things aren't super exciting to us. I think that if we add more guns, it would be something that's like a whole new category of weapon in the future. It's a little bit more exciting.
I'm always pushing for played a lot of Modern Warfare 2 back in the day. Always pushing for the intervention, those quick scopes. So Kaden might disagree with me, but it's got I'd won the game.
Okay, what about my big thing is I love tanks. Like maybe rocket launcher would fulfill my desire for this, Kaden. So we'll have to see about that. But I don't know. I mean, you're holding a rocket launcher. I'm trying to think if I would get the same thrill. I mean, you're still blowing things up, right? I just launch it off and blow it up. So it'd be kind of the same as launching out of the tank.
Right. You're a tiny rocket launcher, right? You could fly with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe even better than a tank. Maybe even better. Who needs a tank anymore if you can fly, right?
Are we adding helicopters to the game? Is that what's happening here?
You have to spin around actually to fly. That's how you go up in the air. I'll pitch that next design meeting. I'll pitch that one.
Yeah, but seriously, blowing things up is good. I think like my absolute favorite weapon in the game, and people very frequently tend to just ignore this weapon. My personal favorite weapon is the grenade. And so, I mean, you can blow people up with that grenade. It's excellent. And so, especially if you have, that day I was playing with you, Kaden, I had one gun and like 6 grenades.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, right. That's why you died. Yeah, I can see him sitting there going, yeah.
No. Now with season 1, you can hold 2 grenades in 1 slot. So
yes, I know. It's even better. And
you
so
have 12 grenades. You're welcome. Yes. It was for you. It was actually the Haskell update, but I didn't say that. So
thank you. Yes, it's so much better because, people are like, well, what health item do you carry? Do you carry soda or banana or whatever? And I'm like, man, I don't carry health items ever at all. If I have space in my backpack, it's going to be a grenade. Right. Because if I'm going to die anyway, I'm going to blow them up with me. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't need to heal if you blow them all up anyways, right? So
that's exactly right.
Exactly.
Sometimes I could still be dragging along there, half alive. And as long as I kill them first, then I don't need to be healthy. Right. It's okay.
Yeah, otherwise you wasted a slot with the healing item, right? Just put 2 grenades in there.
I'm so glad you said that and not me, because if I said that, people would yell. Yeah, that's exactly what I think. Wasting slot with those healing items. But now I'm also the mother who took my child to the sand dunes, and we had 1 bottle of water.
Oh, no.
Among like the 7 of us. And so I did learn sometimes you do need health items. That is important.
Right. Dedicate at least maybe 2 slots next time to the water.
Well, Haskell, as long as you didn't bring grenades with you, I actually feel a lot more comfortable. So.
Fair point.
No, I didn't, thankfully. Let's just say I'm not violent in real life most of the time. All right. So what about, we touched on it there and we kind of went around it, but vehicles.
We honestly don't have plans for vehicles right now because our vehicle in our game is fly. So if you want to go faster, you fly, right? And you can shoot while you fly. But who knows? I mean, it's totally an option that we might bring, especially if we ever end up expanding the map. I definitely think we would add vehicles at that point, but we don't have plans for that yet.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. It actually, not a great answer because it sounds good, but a great answer because if we're already in a game where we can climb anything, we don't need to, like a helicopter, for example, we don't necessarily need to use something like that because we can already go up with our hands and we don't need to, drive across because all we have to do is go up and we can fly across. So, I was just asking because I know a lot of people have asked about that, but that's an interesting thing. All right, another thing.
Well, sorry. I mean, it is like a fantasy fulfillment item. So I definitely see why people love it. Maybe in the future. That's all.
So one thing, PM, you might be able to answer this. And again, if I start going into areas where I shouldn't, that's okay. Just tell me. But the map is changing and it looks great. Like as you keep updating and making the adjustments to it, I absolutely love that. I think going back to, for example, the early playtest, but that's why I asked you earlier when you guys came on, because, I came on in 2018 as far as being a playtester. And it's so amazing to see now how different it looks compared to then. And it's like the world is just growing. So will the world keep growing there, or will it ever expand outward, upward, or downward or anything? Or will it just keep being this world getting more evolved?
Right. Yeah. I mean, for the time being, we're definitely focused on just kind of making what we have right now better and more elaborate, more robust. But I mean, we've definitely talked about like potentials for going bigger, different maps. So nothing planned right now, but it's definitely something that we're thinking about for sure.
Okay, that's great. In this world, some of our players, I think they're hearing things, hallucinating. And they say that if they get close enough to Poppin' Chicken, they hear voices there, like the server lady. So you guys want to kind of say something about that?
Interesting. And so a long time ago, this was back like years ago in Pop one time. We used to have these like little girl statues around the map. I don't know if you remember those, but I used to get into these spots where I thought I would hear them laughing. No one ever believed me. And I'm beginning to think that, you know, these hallucinations that are happening around Poppin' Chicken are kind of in the same vein. But I mean, that's really just my experience. So hard to say honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard it. And I was having discussions with them. Some of these guys insist they've heard, you know, they've heard people talking there.
I think it's just a myth, personally. I mean, why would we add that to the game? That's a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, the ones that are really convinced, you know, you need to add some doctor's offices to the world and some little therapy offices and things so they can go there and maybe put a therapist's voice actually in those places that comforts them and makes them feel better.
Right. Are you writing that one down, Kaden? Can you get that one for me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's see what else. They're laughing. Little girl statues, PM.
That's actually the truth, though.
They were actually in there. The little girl statues were real. The voices, I don't know so much, but they were there.
All right, you guys are gonna have to get me a transparent little, you know, an image of the little girl statues so I can stick it in our Bane lore resource file. It's like the encyclopedia, like the Pop-One encyclopedia. Let's see what else. I had another question. I completely just forgot what it was. Oh, people want items in the houses. So
like
why are they? Yeah, well, not necessarily. I mean, I guess normal people would think furniture is a normal thing in a house. I kind of wasn't thinking furniture, but I don't know really what I was thinking. Like, I like plants, but normally you probably would put furniture rather than plants in a house. So anyway, is there ever a plan to put anything in the houses? And the more important question is, why are they empty? Like, who took all their stuff?
That is quite the question, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Game Bureau are an interesting selection of people. And maybe there might be just a little bit something else going on that, you know, explains these empty houses. I'm not sure, honestly.
Well, what bothers me, PM, this is what bothers me about that whole thing. You don't have furniture or dishes or food or anything in houses, but you have trash outside with trash bags.
Right.
So, like, I'm really concerned about what's in those trash bags now.
maybe you know, down the road, super season 1 will open up trash bags.
Oh my gosh. So rather than just put something in the houses, you're going to open up the trash.
Potentially. Well, look, I'll bring it back. I'll see what everyone says, okay, and then I'll get back to you guys.
We'll put the trash into the houses, and then it'll be good, right?
Right.
Well, now, of course, I want to know what's in the trash bags. It's going to make you're going to have players over there trying to rip apart the trash bags.
Kaden, I think you know what's in the trash. I think we both know what's in the trash, actually. But
it's me. I'm in the trash. I've always
No, Kaden, there's a lot of trash bags around that world. Like, Yeah, I mean, I pay attention because I'm the kind of player that appreciates the developer's artwork. So while my teammates are being shot at, I'm looking at the trash bags. So there are a lot of things like that around the world, just little things and details that you have to think, how did this get here? I just really need to know the answer.
Well, I can tell you that the environment team appreciates how much time you spend appreciating the art that we put in the game. So thank you, Houseco.
Excellent, excellent. And I know other people do too. It's great. You know, if you guys like the, speaking of the art around stuff that people can do themselves, the sprays, you know, I don't know if I told you guys, I think I might have mentioned this to Kaden, but I had, because I'm not familiar with flat games, I honestly had no idea what you guys were talking about when you're talking about calling cards and sprays and all that, because I guess that's a tradition that came over from flat games. Didn't we discuss that, Kaden? I think when you first started, when that was first coming out, and I'm just like, what is this? And so I think that's very, very cool that you had those things coming in. So most of these players, you know, most of the players are actually really enjoying that. So that's one thing about that. Accessibility, I wanted to touch on for anybody watching this, that you can play the game seated. And do you guys have any other accessibility options as far as, I can't remember, like, it's not really an issue with color blindness or anything, but you do have left and right-handed.
We have left and right-handed. We also have the gun swapping. So if you're left-handed, but just with the gun, you can just swap the gun. But we did recently add the color changes for the reticles. So like the floating reticles that are in the world, you can change them to, I think we have 4 colors. So if you have a hard time seeing the red, for instance, a lot of people were saying that, you can change it to pink, or you can change it to yellow, or you can change it to green. So we do have some options there too.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think that's important for people to realize that a lot of different types of people play VR games, and that some of those accessibility options make it a lot more possible for them to have that option to enjoy the game. It's not that they can't play some of these games, but they can actually enjoy them more thoroughly if they have those options. That leads me into our last discussion, basically, which is about community. And Pop One has an incredibly diverse community. You know, we have players of all ages, gender, socioeconomic backgrounds, countries around the world, and everything. So it's really been nice to see how many different types of people are playing the game. And I was wondering, from your perspective, if you had any comments about that, or shout outs to the community, or just anything on that area.
I mean, yeah, the main thing is that we really do appreciate the community, and we really do read all the feedback, like I had mentioned. Yes, we don't always react quite the fastest as we wish we could, but we are always making changes, always making adjustments, always reprioritizing stuff based off of what players say. So please continue to comment on the game and give us feedback, and we will read it, and hopefully more changes will come soon, and more exciting new features will come soon, and hopefully we can keep playing the game together, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have much more to add than that. I think we have one of the best communities out there, not even just exclusive to VR. So it's always just great hopping on, playing some matches. And yeah, the community is just fantastic.
Yeah. Are you guys going to give us a Bane skin?
The banana skin, maybe.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot now. Skylar came up with a really good one. I could do without the hairy legs thing, but it was his thing, and actually, it's a really, really cute little banana man. So or banana person.
Maybe we should talk to Skyla. Just see. Maybe there's something we can do. I don't know. Well, maybe there's something that works.
Yeah, you should talk to him. He's really good at that. So. All right. And somebody was mentioning in chat about players over age 40. I think you guys are aware of this, but we have lots and lots of players over who are over the age of traditional gamers. And for people watching this who may not be aware, I mean, a lot of people who are new to the ecosystem overall think of traditional gamers as young men. And while that's common, that's more the fact of what we actually see. But a traditional gamer, the average age is 34. And we have a lot of people coming into Pop One and VR ecosystem in general who are actually over the age of 50. And especially females, it's very, very fascinating. So I did a ladies thing the other night, and it was open to all ladies. One was 43, and it was a small group. There were only 7 of us. 5 were over the age of 50, and all 5 had bought the Quest for their kids and ended up getting another one for themselves, or just outright taking it. So it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, they just use it. But you guys have that population. It's really great that you've been able to nurture that and really send the message that everybody's welcome, because I think we need to make sure people understand that they are. So thank you for that from, you know, the perspective of an older gamer and a female. We appreciate that.
No, that's great to hear. And that is part of why we added, you know, the bot mode, so you can kind of play with less pressure there. If, you know, if you're an older person who doesn't want the stress of this squads mode, because I totally understand that mode can be stressful. And that's also why the war mode does keep coming back, because it is a little bit less stress to deal with, you know, just 2 teams fighting each other and things like that. So hopefully we'll have even more modes in the future, and even private rooms might help with the older crowd of people too. Like, we do want to be as inclusive as possible with those things. So it's really exciting to hear that all age groups are playing the game.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. If anybody's watching this who wants to try it out for the first time, absolutely play with the bots. It's a lot of fun. And then also the war mode is great, because you, like you say, you have a bigger group there that's in together. So those are really good pointers for people. We only have a couple minutes left. Do you guys have any last comments or anything that you would like to add before we finish up?
I mean, I don't have anything specific to say. I mean, I think, you know, the community is great. Just thank you for, you know, being a part of this journey with us and playing Population 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're not done with the game. It's still going on. So we're really excited to share what's coming next for it. So thank you.
So are you going to share that with us right now?
We already went over this, Hasco.
Come on. I'm a journalist by trade. I had to try, Bagel.
Nice try. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. Thank you so much. And I really sincerely appreciate you taking the time to do this for the Virtual Athletics League Winter Games Conference. And so for this summit, they do this twice a year, the winter and the fall. And so hopefully we'll see you guys again later this year. And man, we will have so many fun things to talk about, because you guys know as well as I do, the industry is growing so fast right now. And with people coming in on the Quest and having portable gaming, it's just really made it possible for literally anybody to pick up a headset and be able to hop in these games and experiences. So thank you for being a part of that, and for supporting the overall ecosystem, not just your game. Your game's awesome. You know, Population 1's fantastic, but it's great to see you guys have such a good attitude about the overall community. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and thank you, Hasco, for putting all this on. This has been a blast being a part of. So thank you again.
You guys did a great job. Thanks to the community who showed up today. We really are glad you guys were here. And this will be available on YouTube, on the Valver YouTube channel after, I'm not sure, maybe tomorrow or something. And if you guys have any questions, always subscribe to the Discord and the Pop1 Twitter channel. And if you hop on Discord, you can always ask any of us any questions. The devs are pretty busy, but they read the things there. And we have mods there and different people, the community who are regulars, who will answer your questions. So thanks a lot, everybody, for showing up. And we hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic spring.
Thank you.